Jenny walks into her own home and gets judged like she crashed someone else's wedding. Faces tight, smiles forced. One wrong move and the room turns cold. At the same time, miles away, Chloe is sitting across from Johnny, smiling on the outside while counting every woman who looks at him. And in both moments, something snaps. Quietly. Then all at once. This episode wastes no time pretending love solves anything. Jenny is not fighting one ant or one comment. She is fighting an entire social script where age equals shame and silence equals respect. Every ritual turns into a test. Every stare feels like a verdict. You can see it on her face. She is trying to belong while being reminded she never will. Then cut to Chloe. Different country. Same pressure. Her jealousy spills out dressed up as concern, boundaries, and what sounds fair in her head. Trust starts cracking, not because of cheating or lies, but because control feels safer than fear. Both women stand in crowded rooms, feeling exposed. Both want reassurance. Both are losing power in ways nobody says out loud. And right here is where the episode quietly dares you to notice one thing before everything explodes next. When love feels threatened, who tightens their grip and who gets pushed out first? Last episode left everyone standing on emotional quicksand. Nothing felt settled. Every couple walked into this hour carrying baggage they refused to name. Jenny and Sumit thought moving back together would lower the noise. Instead, it amplified every stare. Matthew waited for Greta's arrival like a kid waiting for summer break, confident things would sort themselves out. They did not. Luke tried to stretch a shrinking bank balance across a wedding fantasy. The numbers did not lie. Chloe smiled through dinner, while trust slipped further out of reach. And somewhere in the middle, parents said sorry for once, which felt rare enough to feel unreal. This episode picks up right where discomfort lives. No easing in, no soft landing. Jenny steps into a family ritual meant to welcome her, yet every glance weighs her age, her body language, her place. Age gaps sit like unspoken accusations. Nobody needs to say the word old. The room says it for them. The pressure stays polite on the surface, sharp underneath. Love exists, yet approval still holds the power. Matthew and Greta bring a different tension. No yelling, no crowds. Just space. Or the lack of it. She crossed borders with suitcases and expectations. He prepared with optimism and vibes. Those do not unpack well. Money is not the problem here. Effort is. When someone gives up their life, the smallest details turn loud. A drawer, a hanger, a place to breathe. Luke and Madeleine move through the episode with receipts nobody wants to read. Wedding plans meet reality. Budgets shrink. Trust erodes. Accusations land and sit there. Money becomes leverage without anyone saying it out loud. Control hides inside concern. Fear dresses up as sacrifice. Each choice pulls them further apart while pretending to bring them closer. Then there is Chloe and Johnny. On paper things look fine. Date night. Laughter. A job bringing steady cash. Underneath, jealousy tightens. She frames it as protection, respect, future planning. He hears restriction, identity loss, old wounds reopening. This tension does not explode, it simmers. Those moments last longer. The theme running through all of it stays consistent. Power shifts. Who gets to decide what love looks like? Who adjusts? Who absorbs discomfort so someone else stays calm? Age becomes a measuring stick. Money becomes a scoreboard. Jealousy wears a polite mask and calls itself care. Light moments sneak in. Matthew praising himself for 3 drawers. Luke insisting a smaller guest list solves everything. Johnny defending a job he loves while promising change someday. These laughs do not soften the stakes. They sharpen them. Humor works best when truth sits behind it. My take stays simple. Nobody here wakes up planning harm. Patterns still hurt. Silence still speaks. When someone keeps the peace by shrinking, resentment grows. When someone controls to feel safe, trust cracks. When money enters romance, honesty gets tested fast. And pay attention here, because this calm stretch sets up a turn nobody expects, and one family quietly changes sides when it matters most. The tone shifts near the end of this act. The episode stops hinting and starts choosing. Support does not land where tradition predicts. One voice inside a family breaks from the group. It feels small. It is not. By the time you notice, the power balance tilts, and the fallout reaches far beyond one living room. Jenny walks into the ceremony dressed with care, yet her face gives her away. She knows she is being measured, not welcomed, measured. Every step feels rehearsed, because mistakes feel expensive in rooms like this. The ritual promises peace and purity, yet her body language says survival. She smiles, she watches, she waits for cues she does not fully understand. This is not about learning customs, this is about proving worth without ever being told the rules. The family fills the space slowly, a few nods, some polite greetings, many long looks, the kind that linger half a second too long. Shame does not need words, it travels through silence. Jenny tries to participate, tries to balance objects on her head, tries to follow instructions. When she struggles, nobody rushes in. Support arrives late and lightly. On screen, silence reads louder than criticism. It signals distance, it signals judgment, and it leaves her exposed. Sumit stays close but guarded. He wants peace. He wants approval. He also wants his marriage to survive this room. Those goals fight each other. Jenny feels it. She fills the space with effort, compliments, gratitude, softness. The more she tries to belong, the more obvious her outsider status becomes. Public rituals turn into tests, not of faith, but of fit. Then the aunt steps forward, not loudly, not dramatically, calm, certain. She does not insult Jenny. She does something sharper. She questions the order of things. Age, respect, society, reputation. In her mind, this is not personal. It is social hygiene, protecting the family from gossip, protecting the structure from disruption. She speaks for the crowd that never shows up on camera. The neighbors, the relatives who did not come, the people whose opinions carry weight long after the cameras leave. Here is where shame and belonging collide. Jenny wants acceptance in public. Love exists in private. The aunt refuses to separate the two. In her world, private love never outranks public judgment. That belief does not make her cruel. It makes her consistent. And consistency hits harder than anger. Sumit tries to explain. He says they are married. He says they are happy. Logic enters a room ruled by perception. It does not land. The aunt pushes back. Society will not accept this. People will talk. Children will ask questions. She frames concern as responsibility. Jenny hears rejection. Both are true. This is the moment the room stops pretending and the tension turns real. The argument grows. Voices rise. Fingers point. Not at Jenny at first, but at Sumit's mother. Why is she helping? Why is she soft? Why is she choosing comfort over tradition? Suddenly, the conflict shifts. It is no longer about Jenny alone. It is about loyalty inside the family. Lines form quickly. You can feel it. When elders disagree publicly, something cracks. Then something unexpected happens. Sumit's parents speak. Calmly. Clearly. They say their son is happy. They say the marriage matters. They do not deny the gossip. They do not deny the discomfort. They choose love anyway. This changes everything. Not because it fixes the problem, but because it exposes the cost. Support here means risking distance elsewhere. Acceptance comes with consequences. And right here, the entire balance flips in a way nobody planned for. Jenny stands there listening. Relief flickers, then doubt. Support arrives, yet it does not erase the looks. Public acceptance from parents does not silence society. The aunt does not back down. She doubles down. She says out loud what many think quietly. This relationship embarrasses the family. The age gap looks wrong. She refuses to pretend otherwise. Jenny does not fight. She withdraws. Some read this as grace. Others read it as weakness. On television, silence rarely earns sympathy. It looks like surrender. Yet in real life, silence often signals exhaustion. Fighting every battle drains people faster than losing one. Cultural context matters here. Respect for elders runs deep. Challenging them publicly breaks norms. Jenny knows this. Sumit knows this. His parents know this too. That is why their defense lands heavy. They break expectation to protect their son. They choose happiness over image. That choice carries weight in this space. Still, the question hangs. What happens after the ceremony? After the cameras leave? After the aunt returns home and talks? After society responds? Support during a ritual does not guarantee peace at dinner next week. Jenny senses it. Sumit senses it. His parents sense it. The ceremony ends. Smiles return. Words soften. Nothing feels resolved. One loud voice threatens to undo quiet progress. Jenny steps away, emotionally if not physically. Self-preservation kicks in. She cannot carry everyone's discomfort alone. This scene plants a seed that does not pay off yet. Family support feels solid today. Tomorrow feels uncertain. Love survives the room. Society waits outside. And the question lingers longer than the ritual smoke. When family chooses love publicly, who pays the price privately, and how long before that cost comes due? Greta arrives with jet lag in her eyes, and hope packed tightly into her suitcases. Airports do that to people. They strip you down to your expectations. She steps into Matthew's place trying to stay optimistic, telling herself exhaustion is making everything feel heavier than it is. But reality does not wait for rest. It greets her immediately. The apartment is small, not cozy, not thoughtfully arranged, just small, and more importantly, unfinished. Matthew beams like the hard part is over. She is here. He did it. In his mind, arrival equals success. He talks about future plans, laughs off the clutter, shrugs at missing details. Greta hears something else. She hears a list of things he did not think about. Drawers without space. Closets half empty. A life that does not look ready to receive another person. Space becomes the unspoken language here. When there is no room for someone's belongings, it feels like there is no room for them. At first, the tone stays light. Jokes. Nervous smiles. Matthew points out what he did prepare. 3 drawers. A few hangers. He wants credit. He deserves some. But sacrifice is not measured in effort alone. It is measured in foresight. Greta crossed countries, left routine, paused her own life. Preparation was his side of the bridge. It feels unfinished. Sarcasm creeps in. Matthew deflects. He insists it will be fine. They can reorganize. They can figure it out together. On paper, that sounds reasonable. Emotionally, it lands wrong. Greta does not want to build space. She wants to feel expected. The difference matters. Here is where the shift happens. The joking fades. Her voice lowers. His smile tightens. This is not about furniture anymore. This is about imbalance. She gave up stability. He adjusted his schedule. Both count as sacrifice, but they are not equal in weight. When imbalance goes unacknowledged, resentment grows quietly. This is the point where small oversights stop being small and start feeling like a pattern. Greta tries to explain without attacking. She chooses her words carefully. She says she feels like an afterthought. She says arriving should feel grounding, not disorienting. Matthew hears criticism. He hears failure. He retreats into defensiveness. This is where emotional labor gets tricky. She is managing her disappointment while also protecting his feelings. That work stays invisible, but it costs energy. Then it hits her. The tears are not dramatic. They are tired. This is not anger. It is grief for expectations she did not realize she had until they were unmet. Moving countries amplifies everything. There is no familiar calf to escape to, no friend nearby. The apartment becomes the whole world, and when that world feels unwelcoming, loneliness multiplies fast. Matthew softens. He sees it now. Not fully, but enough to pause. He apologizes. He says he did his best. Both can be true. Best efforts still miss the mark. Apologies do not rearrange space. They do not create room where none existed. The realism of this moment cuts through the episode. No villains. No screaming. Just two people realizing love does not automatically translate into care. Care requires anticipation. Planning, the unromantic work of making room. If you've ever moved for someone and felt like you had to shrink yourself to fit, this moment probably hit close. That question hangs for viewers because it is familiar. How many times have people been told to be patient while quietly absorbing inconvenience? How often does flexibility get praised when it really means accommodation without reciprocity? Matthew promises to fix things, to reorganize, to do better. Greta listens. She wants to believe him. She also knows promises feel easiest on day 1. Follow through matters more on day 10. The scene ends without resolution. The apartment stays the same size. Her suitcase stays half unpacked. That detail matters. Unpacking signals commitment. Hesitation signals uncertainty. Greta sits with that uncertainty, smiling when needed, quiet when not. The question lingers as they move forward. Is this a temporary misstep or an early warning? Love brought her here. Preparation did not. And until those two line up, doubt will keep its place on the floor, taking up space neither of them planned for. After all that tension, Manon and Anthony feel like a deep breath the episode barely allows itself. The volume drops, voices soften, no one is packing bags or storming out. Instead, parents sit across from their child and do something almost shocking for this show. They apologize. It is not dramatic. No grand speeches. No tears engineered for camera time. Just acknowledgement. Words like "we were wrong" land heavier than any argument we have seen so far. Manon listens carefully. Anthony watches his parents like he is waiting for the other shoe to drop. Accountability feels unfamiliar in this space, which is exactly why it stands out. This moment works because it is simple. The parents recognize the pressure they caused. They admit their fear turned into control. They name the damage without excusing it. That matters, not because it fixes everything, but because it changes the emotional temperature. Healing starts with being heard. For once, nobody is shouting over that. The contrast is sharp. While other couples fight for space, Manon is finally being given some. While others defend their choices, Anthony does not have to. His parents meet him where he is, instead of pulling him back to where they feel safe. That shift feels rare on reality TV, and it lands quietly but firmly. Still, skepticism lingers. Apologies are a beginning, not an ending. Patterns do not dissolve in one conversation. Years of expectation do not evaporate because someone says sorry on a couch. Manon accepts the moment without fully relaxing into it. Anthony does the same. Relief exists, but so does caution. This scene serves a purpose beyond their relationship. It shows what accountability looks like when it is real. No excuses, no deflection, just ownership. That makes every other conflict in the episode feel louder by comparison. And yet, this is still 90-Day Fiancé. Calm moments are fragile here. Peace never lasts without being tested. The question is not whether tension will return, but when, and how hard it will hit once it does. Luke and Madeleine do not fight about love first. They fight about money. And once money enters the room, love shrinks fast. The shortage hits early. Luke sits there counting expenses out loud, wedding costs stacking up, tone tight, jaw set. Madeleine listens, arms crossed, eyes already tired. This is not new information for her. She has felt the stress living inside him for weeks. What feels new is how it spills onto her, like unpaid bills turned into emotional invoices. The wedding planner steps in and changes the temperature. Calm voice, neutral face, straight facts. Numbers do not bend for feelings. When the planner lays out what this wedding costs, the fantasy cracks. You can see it. Luke stiffens. Madeleine exhales. This is the first escalation. Reality has a way of picking sides, and right now, it is not on hope. Luke talks about sacrifice, about leaving home, about draining savings. He frames himself as the one bleeding for this relationship. In my opinion, fear drives this. Fear of failing, fear of looking small, fear of being the guy who promised more than he brought. That fear is real. It deserves space. But fear does not excuse pressure. Madeleine hears something else. She hears obligation. Guilt dressed as gratitude. The message lands like this. Look what I gave up for you. Do not ask for more. Do not question me. That is where money turns into leverage. And this is where viewers lean forward, because power has quietly changed hands. The accusation drops next, and it poisons everything. Luke suggests money went missing. The word stolen hangs in the air even if he does not say it cleanly. Madeleine freezes. Her face hardens. Trust snaps, fast and loud. This is the second escalation. Once you accuse your partner of theft, you do not walk back to normal conversation. You cross into something else. Psychologically, this is control versus security playing out in real time. Luke wants control because control feels like safety. Madeleine wants security because security feels like respect. They are talking past each other while staring directly at each other. She pushes back, not with yelling, but with distance. Short answers. No softness. Emotional checkout begins quietly. When someone starts protecting their energy instead of explaining their pain, you are already in dangerous territory. Stay with this moment, because the shift you are seeing does not reverse easily. To be fair, Luke does not look like a villain plotting manipulation. He looks scared. Scared men often grasp for certainty. Money becomes the scoreboard. If I pay, I decide. That logic does not come from cruelty. It comes from panic. Still, the impact matters more than the intent. Madeleine calls out the imbalance. Not loudly, not theatrically. She points out how every financial conversation ends with her feeling small. That callback hits hard if you remember Act 1, where age gaps and money were framed as pressure points. Different couple, same pattern. Power slides toward the person holding resources. The other person feels examined, not cherished. The wedding planner tries to steer them back, suggests compromise, suggests scaling down. But compromise requires trust, and trust is leaking out of this room. Luke nods without committing. Madeleine watches without believing. This is the part where viewers split, and comments explode. Some will say Madeleine sounds transactional. Others will say Luke uses money as a leash. Both reactions miss something. The real issue sits underneath. Neither feels safe. Luke fears being used. Madeleine fears being controlled. Those fears feed each other until every dollar feels loaded. The body language tells the story words avoid. Luke leans forward, trying to fix. Madeleine leans back, trying to breathe. He wants reassurance. She wants space. He hears rejection. She hears pressure. Nobody wins here. There is a moment where Madeleine goes quiet. Long pause. Eyes down. This is not plotting. This is disengagement. Emotional checkout does not look dramatic. It looks tired. It looks like someone deciding whether staying hurts more than leaving. Do not blink here, because silence often says more than shouting. Luke circles back to sacrifice again. He needs it acknowledged. That need turns the conversation inward. Madeleine does not bite. She does not validate. The gap widens. What makes this stalemate feel unsustainable is the lack of repair. No apology, no ownership, no shared plan, only parallel fears running side by side. Money exposed the cracks, but the cracks were already there. They end the scene together, but not aligned. Wedding plans still floating, accusations still unresolved, trust still bruised, love still claimed, but thinner. And as they sit there, you can feel the question hanging heavy. How long can a relationship survive when every expense feels like a test, and every test feels like a judgment? Chloe's hands shake slightly as she scrolls through her phone. Johnny just got a new promotion, and for her it feels like a spotlight shining on everything she fears losing. On the surface, it is a job. Underneath, it is identity, pride, and control all colliding in one fragile package. She tries to mask it with jokes, sarcastic jabs about hours and paychecks, but the tension is thick enough to cut. Johnny laughs at first. He thinks it's playful. But as the conversation deepens, his amusement fades. Chloe isn't joking anymore. She wants boundaries, but the way she frames them feels like a demand for him to shrink, to make his life smaller, so hers feels safer. That is the first fracture. What she sees as protection, he experiences as restriction. This is the classic trap of insecurity disguised as care. And here's the kicker, the moment that makes viewers lean in, because the dynamic just flipped. Johnny tries reasoning. He explains how much the promotion matters, the hours he will invest, the opportunities it opens. He talks about personal growth and pride, things Chloe should understand if she truly supports him. But Chloe counters with comparisons to her own career sacrifices, pointing out that she compromised for him before. The room heats up. It is no longer about the job, it's about fairness, validation, and emotional leverage. Their friends and social media fans are already chiming in. Comments like "she's controlling" clash with "he's so oblivious" flooding feeds. The narrative online mirrors the tension on screen. A mix of outrage, sympathy, and judgment that escalates the emotional stakes. Every viewer has an opinion, and it reinforces the pressure Chloe and Johnny feel in real time. Chloe's voice rises, not in volume, but in urgency. She says things she might regret, statements framed as ultimatums. Do this, or I pull back. Ultimatums rarely work, especially when fear and love are tangled together. In this case, the push and pull only widen the gap. Johnny feels cornered. Chloe feels unheard. Neither feels respected. This is why ultimatums backfire. They amplify the insecurity they were meant to soothe. Retention booster. Watch closely here, because this argument changes everything about how their relationship functions. Johnny snaps, not with anger, but with disbelief. He compares her logic to an impossible equation. If I give up this job, what's left for me? He asks. Chloe interprets it as selfishness. Johnny sees it as survival. Identity versus control, freedom versus boundaries, trust versus jealousy, all these collide in a single living room. In my opinion, Chloe's fear is not unreasonable. It is rooted in love, concern, and past betrayals. But the way she expresses it masks trust. Johnny's reaction is also reasonable. He is asserting self-respect and independence, fundamental to any adult relationship. The problem is their communication. They are speaking parallel languages, one emotional, one practical, neither translating for the other. As the night unfolds, Chloe tries recalibrating, softening her tone, seeking compromise. Johnny listens, nods, but tension lingers like static in the air. Neither feels fully heard. They circle each other in careful conversation, attempting diplomacy while old insecurities peek around every corner. The moment is fragile. One wrong word, one dismissive glance, and the argument could explode again. Don't scroll. Because this is the turning point that viewers are talking about. Chloe steps back physically, emotionally, leaving Johnny with the weight of her expectations and her unspoken question: can he love her without surrendering himself? This scene is a reminder of how jealousy disguises itself. It wears the face of protection and concern, but operates as a subtle form of control. Johnny's job becomes the battleground because it symbolizes everything Chloe fears losing: attention, security, and influence. Her jealousy is not random, it is strategic, defensive, and deeply human. Meanwhile, Johnny posts a quiet reflection on social media. Fans speculate endlessly. Is he being unfair? Is she controlling? Should they compromise or separate? This online echo magnifies the stakes, turning private tension into public theater. Every comment, like, and share adds pressure, creating a loop where the couple's internal conflict spills into the external world, increasing stress and emotional volatility. By the end of the episode, Chloe and Johnny are in the same room, physically close, but emotionally distant. Words are carefully chosen, silences loaded with meaning. Neither fully wins, neither fully concedes. The audience is left with a simmering question. Will Chloe find trust without control, or will Johnny have to shrink to preserve their love? And here's the real hook. Watching them, you feel the tension stretching like a rubber band about to snap. This unresolved choice is what keeps fans glued. Every glance, every subtle gesture hints at what could happen next. One wrong move, and the fallout could reshape their relationship entirely. This is not a simple fight, it is a test of identity, patience, and emotional intelligence. Chloe and Johnny are at a crossroads, and the episode ends without answers, leaving viewers on edge, craving the next chapter. They are together, yet divided. Trust is strained, boundaries are blurred, and love is weighed against fear. The future is uncertain, and you cannot look away, because everyone watching knows the next decision will either save or shatter what they have built. Retention booster. Pay attention. Because what happens in this argument will echo through every couple's story we see next. The choice Chloe and Johnny face is bigger than jealousy. It is a challenge to respect, empathy, and compromise, and it is far from resolved. Viewers are left wondering, who will bend? Who will break? And who will walk away first? Looking back at this episode, one thing becomes crystal clear. Every relationship on screen is running on the same fuel, power, insecurity, and fear. Jenny faces the crushing weight of cultural judgment and family expectations, and every silence from her screams louder than any confrontation. Greta carries the invisible load of sacrifice, stepping into Matthew's life and space, only to find that preparation and care are optional in his world. Luke and Madeleine circle each other around money, each act of generosity or hesitation rippling into guilt, resentment, and suspicion. Chloe and Johnny navigate trust, identity, and control, showing how fear disguised as love can strangle even the strongest intentions. What ties them all together is how personal insecurity becomes a weapon in relationships. When power shifts, whether through age, money, or career choices, conflict ignites. Some adapt. Jenny's parents try to bridge worlds. Anthony's parents show rare accountability. These moments are fleeting, but they hint at what is possible when care meets courage. Most, however, resist. Luke and Madeleine stall. Chloe and Johnny circle tension like predators, neither yielding. Greta waits, hoping preparation will appear magically. These patterns expose the raw, unvarnished psychology of love under pressure. And yet, the episode leaves us with a deeper insight. Control and fear are temporary stand-ins for real communication. Couples falter not because they lack love, but because they are unevenly equipped to handle it. Emotional intelligence, preparation, and willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, not just feelings, determine who bends, who breaks, and who barely survives. Watching each interaction side by side creates an undeniable mirror. Insecurity never exists in isolation, and the reactions it triggers ripple through every relationship differently. Retention booster. The patterns we see here are going to redefine every conflict in the next episodes. The night closes with questions left hanging, faces turned away, conversations paused mid-thought, and hearts still recalibrating. Jenny wonders if love can withstand the glare of judgment. Greta fears she invested more than she received. Luke and Madeleine stand in stalemate, while Chloe and Johnny circle trust like it is a fragile flame. Every decision, every reaction, every unspoken word carries weight, leaving viewers suspended in anticipation. By the end, one thing is obvious. The drama isn't just on screen. It lives in the choices each person makes under pressure, the way fear and insecurity shape love, and the moments when someone finally steps forward or quietly steps back. And as the credits roll, the lingering tension teases the next chapter, where every unresolved choice will collide with new challenges, and the couples we think we understand may surprise us all.